Hello. Oh, whoa, there's no mask. Sorry, I'm not the enlightened one. I'm Canada Dry, and today we have Missing 411 Part 2, but also we're going to find out what's going on in the world of wrestling. We're going to find all about everything, and we don't even have our music.
No.
Let's
What's
get
going
the
off here?
music on. I'm all out of sorts. Here we go. Boom. And enjoy the show. Wrestling. Hey guys, welcome to another edition of Wrestling with the Paranormal. And today we're going to be talking Missing 411 Part 2. If you're wondering what Missing 411 is, we're going to tell you. Liam, what's Missing 411?
It's a... so that's put me on a big spot here.
Sorry. Okay, Missing 411 is the people that go missing under strange circumstances in our national forest in Canada and America. But also we got stuff. So we got someone's wrestling fans story, personal paranormal, all sorts of glitches going on today. We got someone's personal paranormal story, and the thing about this show is we are the only paranormal show in the entire galaxy that is made just for wrestling fans.
True.
We're going to bring in a couple of guests here. The guy who's going to tell his story. We got Jeff Chadwick. And we got Le Disciple, George Penning. He's going to tell us his story. But before we get into that, let's get into what's going on in the world effing galaxy. We got a nice little intro that the magician made. I'm looking for it. Don't worry.
Your magic isn't working.
I'm a day off.
Here it is. All right, so what's going on in the effing galaxy? What do you got on the magic of wrestling this week, Liam? Can you hear Liam?
Did he
Sorry.
mute himself? Oh, there he is.
Magician.
Everything's
Where'd you
happening
go?
today. I don't know what's going off.
It's magic. He's talking, but he's not.
So yeah, let's try that again, shall we? So tomorrow at night we've got our very first episode of AFW Backstage. Canada Dry is going to be joining me along with two other very special guests. You will find that out tomorrow.
And this Sunday on the All Effin' Wrestling Show. I love saying that. It just rolls off the All Effin' Wrestling Show. We have Roddy Piper's daughter, Teal Piper, and we got her stablemate, Damos. We're going to find all about them. I've asked her to bring in some Roddy Piper gear, so we'll see if she does it. She hasn't responded, but we'll see. The big thing for that's going on in the effing galaxy right now is we made up. Well, actually, I'll just say it. I made it up. A catchphrase for Natalia Markova: a badass with a great ass, and it seems that Carmella has stolen this catchphrase. And Carmella has been known to do this before.
Mm.
with I think it's someone from Jersey Shore. I forget what it was, but she stole someone else's catchphrase before this. So we're just going to play the clip from. She was on a podcast this week, just interviewed, and she gave us credit. So here it is.
I don't think it matters if it's intellectual property or if it's a physical property, it's still stealing. So that's how I look at that. And obviously, those people, they know that it's my catchphrase. Wrestling world is small, everybody knows everything. And the way I feel about it, I think it's wrong. I just, if it would be said once, like first time they said it last week, and I was like, okay, whatever. I guess they just didn't know somehow, maybe, I don't know. But then people were tagging like crazy amounts. So people were tweeting like, oh my God, come on, that's Natalia. That's her catchphrase. Everybody knows that. It's actually one of my fans, like big supporter of Fan Wrestling Podcast, came up with this phrase for me. And I was like, oh, I'll just use it. It's amazing. So that was my thing. Everybody knew that. People tweeted at them and showed them, yes, that's that. And then next week it happened again. And I feel like it's a little disrespectful. But I'm not really mad about it. I just think it's wrong,
So, anyone want to comment on this?
I think it's obviously great for us as a whole, because I imagine that she's got loads and loads of fans, and the fact that she's obviously mentioned us like specifically, I think it's great. Obviously, because you obviously talk to her a lot as well, don't you?
I think personally, Carmella just needs to come up with her own crap. I mean, it's just, she says Mella is money, but guarantee you that came from somewhere. It's just, I don't know. As you said, this is not the first time this has happened. So how many more times do we have to sit through Carmella copying other people's stuff? That's what I want to know.
And I never thought I'd have something personally at stake at this. Like, how did this happen? That I have something personally at stake in this.
Right.
It's crazy. George, thoughts?
Well, come on, Carmella. It's someone else's catchphrase. There can only be one person using it. Excuse me. You didn't see anyone else around in the Attitude Era trying to be like, steal Stone Cold's catchphrase. And you had the Mella is money, but I think like a week after that, you already had Eric trying to sell their YouTube show that they did for WWE or whatever, where now she just wants to have sex with Corey Graves every week or something. I guess the closest thing she got to like her own original catchphrase.
But
Actually,
also,
personally,
go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, but this whole freaking thing with Carmel and Corey, that's just copying off of Lita and Edge. That's all that is. It's all copying. Come up with your own crap.
Maybe we give her. I have an idea. Let's give her a paranormal gimmick. Let's give her a Bloody Mary gimmick. So it reflects her.
We could make her the ass grabber. That could be her gimmick. She could be the ass grabber. She could be the ass grabber in the group, and she could be let's go around grabbing people's ass. We'll give her it. We'll give it to her.
Ooh. We have found. It's only taken an eon, but the ass grabber has been found.
Yes, it is Carmella. The ass grabber in the group. But I think WWE is famous for this. For going to indie groups and just stealing their little bits. Because they're they can't fight back. They're indie wrestlers. They don't have all that money. So what are they going to do?
Yeah, right.
I think it's an interesting point. No,
well, it's going to cost $5,000 for a trademark lawyer. They don't work free. So
no.
But it makes you wonder, though, doesn't it? What's actually original in wrestling these days? Is everything all copied? Or...
So let's move on. George, and we'll let Jeff guess on this too. This is the segment. It's called Bull or Truth with La Desabelle.
So yeah,
and
you guys...
so he tells us a story, and we have to decide if this paranormal story is real or fake.
So he got us last week. So is he going to get us again this week? George, what you got for us?
Well, after the news recently that just transpired, to be honest, I'm not sure, but we're still gonna run with it. So I was surfing through the web, and I was coming across along these stories that seem to somehow connect the dots and correspond with each other. And this wasn't from me, and I was finding it from this person's username on this website I was searching from called, oh, what was it? It escapes my mind. Like, I think Cyber Sorcerer 821 or whatever. There was no actual distinctive name or whatever. But anyway, everything was fine at their house or the place that they lived. But anything that happened in the electronic universe or anything that had to deal with technology. So, real life, if they went into another room, nothing happened. If they did anything on, I don't know, let's say their TV, their computer, even their mobile phone, something happened.
Like something
And,
like what?
well, there was like a lot of glitching going on, and then it turned into just simple things like they would leave tabs open, and then the next day they would be gone. They were finding folders missing, and everything wasn't as normal as it was the previous day. So, for instance, one day they left their background photo changed to their one unique wallpaper, and then the next day it was changed. And so all these glitches kept happening, and they had experts come over and look, and they couldn't find anything wrong with it. And this just doesn't seem like a glitch or anything. And well, your typical glitch, but it's just it keeps happening, and it's usually during the middle of the night. And yeah, that's kind of about all I could get. Sorry, it kind of falls flat, but
this one's tough.
it kind of falls flat. I know. I'm sorry.
Well, that's what makes it hard. What do you think, Liam?
To me, it just screams like a glitch in the Matrix.
But is that saying it's bullshit?
I'm saying it's bull. I find it hard to believe. That's right. Yeah, I'm saying it's bull.
Liam? I mean, Jeff.
See, this could go one of two ways. One, somebody could have easily changed the pictures. I've had folders come up missing on my laptop before. So, I mean, these are things that have happened, in real life. So it's just like, and there was nobody around my computer and nothing like that. It just happens because it's technology. But on the other hand, it just, with it being, with paranormal things happening all the time, it could be a possibility. This is a toss-up. I'm going to say that this is true.
So we got one true, we got one false. I'm going to say this is true.
Ooh.
Well, I say for the slight fact that there is a little information, and there is, I'm kind of siding back and forth. I am saying this is
what do you
real.
Mean? It's your story. How do you side back and forth?
I decided I make the rules.
Is this something you made up, or is this bull? That's the bottom line. Is it true, or is it something you made up? This is true.
No, this is true. if I would have continued after it fell off, then it would have been fake.
Okay. So this is a true story. It kind of fell flat.
Because I was
and
debating about that.
That's why I went with it. The flatness of it, there was no dramatics in it, so I gambled.
Yeah.
Now we come to the next part of our show, where we're adding in is wrestling fans telling their paranormal stories. And that gives us to our guest, Jeff Chadwick. He might even come back on next week to tell us another one if he has more. So we'll see.
Ooh.
We'll see. Well, the one that, I mean, I've had a couple different experiences, but the one that stands out.
We can
Yep.
spread this out over a long time.
But the one that stands out the most is from 2015. It was about a week after my father had passed. He passed away in this apartment, and my husband was doing a cleansing of the house with sage, because he knows all about how to do that properly and safely and this, that, and the other thing. So he was going room by room and cleansing each room. Well, everything was, seemed to be fine. About a month later, we started hearing knocking coming from his room. And at the time, I didn't think anything of it. I thought maybe someone was knocking at the door. I mean, the knock was that loud. And when it happened, nobody was upstairs. Yeah, right? I thought maybe too, because I checked the door and no one was there. I thought, well, maybe there's, they're moving around upstairs or something. There was no one home upstairs in that apartment. So, I just went about my day. And then a couple days later, I heard it again. Same room, the room that he passed away in. And it was at that point that I said, you know what? I bet you this is my father trying to contact me. And no sooner did I think that, the light in the kitchen went on by itself. And went off by itself.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Sorry to interrupt, but I just want to know. How did you feel at that moment?
I wasn't scared, because normally something like that would happen. It's like, okay, why is this happening? You'd freak out. A part of me knew, and I think this has to do with what my husband was telling me at the time. He says, that's your father trying to contact you and let you know he's okay. He's still here. And to some people, that would freak them out. To me, it's a sign of comfort. I had, for a while, I hadn't been really all that close with my father until I started taking care of him with his health declining over a course of 6 years. And it's at that point that I really became extremely close to my father. And I guess that's his way of saying thank you. I love you. I mean, there's still, to this day, little things that happen in this house showing me that he is still here. And I am okay with that. And a part of me doesn't want to ever leave, because then I feel like I'd be leaving him behind. Now, would he follow us? I don't know. That's to be determined, I guess, if the chance happens. But yeah. But I right now I enjoy the little tiny things that happen around the house. Him playing practical joke, obviously turning on the light, turning off the light. To me, that he was a practical joker. He loved to make people laugh. He'd like to, have people make sure that they have a good time, and he was a very gentle and caring soul.
If you can set a whoopee cushion on your chair, that would be the best.
If he could set a whoopee cushion on my chair, that would be the icing on the cake, so to speak. But until then, I'm okay with the little knocking. I'm okay with the light going on and off. Just the little tiny things to let me know that he's still here, and I'm quite okay with that.
All right, thank you so much. And if you have more, you're more than welcome to come back and tell us more.
Yeah, absolutely.
We enjoy hearing all of wrestling fans.
That was awesome.
Stories. Absolutely. I'd be more than happy to share more stories with you.
All right, we have the rest of the show to do. We got the Missing 411 Part 2. It's all about paranormal missing people in the forests of North America. So stay tuned for that. All right, guys, we'll see you later.
Cheers,
Right.
guys.
Thank you.
Alrighty. See ya.
Get out of here, George.
Disappear.
Yes.
Come on.
Get out of here. All right. All right. So we're going to get right into paranormal stories here of the National Forest. Now, we've talked about this on the show before you were here.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if you watched the episode.
I have not.
Well, we talked a lot about different cases. There's actually a documentary you can watch on Amazon Prime. It's called Missing 411, and there's also Missing 411 The Hunted. So there's a
Right.
couple of them that you can watch, and I encourage you to watch that if you watch the show to watch those. Um, there's many missing cases in our national forest where people go missing,
Mhm.
and what we have is we have a guy named, what is his name? David Politis.
Yep.
So what happened is David Politis was hiking in the forest one day, and he encountered a park ranger. And this park ranger was doing a bit of a search for somebody, and the park ranger thought it was a bit weird. And he informed David about this, and this sent David on a wild ride for many, many years. And he's going, he wrote many books on this, including which led to the documentaries. He's made a series of book called Missing 411. And so we're just going to tell a few stories here from the Missing 411 series. And probably the most famous one is from Dennis Martin. And Dennis Martin is a 6-year-old boy. And one day they were going up the Appalachian Trail.
Mhm.
And they were going up to a place called Spence Field on a hike. And this happened July 14th, 1969. And so Dennis and his father and his grandfather, they were all hiking. And they finally made up to Spence Field. And they met some other kids there. And George says this. Now I get to terrorize you guys here. No terrorizing, George. So Dennis, he was playing with his brother and some other kids, and they decided they were going to play hide and seek. And like you got the open forest. What's a better place
Absolutely.
to play hide and seek? I'd want to do it when I was a kid. Definitely. So they're playing the game, and everyone kind of comes out of their hiding spots except for Dennis. And Dennis, they last seen him go into this bush, and on the other side of the bush is a big foresty area. And the dad, he's freaking out. He goes up, I think it's, let me say, 2 miles up the Appalachian Trail looking for his son. He's just running up and down looking for him. And so for 2 weeks, 1,500 searchers, they covered 56 square miles. They had helicopters, they had bloodhounds. And, sidetrack here, bloodhounds.
Yes.
These dogs have an ability to find things,
Yep.
but somehow the dogs weren't able to get anything, which is weird.
Yeah.
But they had helicopters, and it turns out that the Key family, around 5:30, this was an hour and a half before Dennis went missing. They were hiking about 4 kilometers away from where Dennis was when he went missing. And they heard a deathly scream. And they actually saw like a bear sort of man cross creature carrying a child. And the FBI, when they found out about it, they automatically dismissed it. And they brought in the Green Beret. And the thing about the Green Beret is they are only usually involved in national security. So that kind of makes some weird questions pop up there as well. So our next story is from happens in 1976 in the Great Smoky Mountains. Trenny Gibson was a high school student. Trenny's a girl out of Knoxville, Tennessee, and they made a field trip to the Great Smoky Mountains. And there was about 40 of them hiking together. And they came up from the parking lot, and they're making their way up to a place called Andrews Bald. And I guess it was a clearing or some sort of that, where they could see like amazing things or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I guess Trenny, she was a bit of a, she was a free-spirited person. She kind of went ahead of everyone.
Yeah.
And they were, her friends said they saw her kind of looking off the trail, and all of a sudden she kind of wandered off the trail, and they never saw her again. And I guess like she just disappeared, and they said that the authorities said that was impossible because there was a steep incline. So we don't know what happened to her. She just vanished.
Was there any traces?
No, they didn't find anything of her.
Wow.
So July 2010, Eric Lewis and his two buddies, they're climbing Mount Rainier, and they have a rope that they're all kind of tethered together. And they're about 20 to 30 meters apart.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first guy, he makes it to the top. And he's waiting. And eventually the next person comes up. And they're waiting for Eric. And they finally decide to pull his rope. And they pull up an empty rope. And they don't know what the heck happened. They find a set of footprints in the snow that eventually just stop.
Wow.
And they later found his backpack and his gear, but they never found anything from him. He just disappeared.
No trace?
No traces, just missing 411, gone. And we're going to get into some theories on this a little later.
Mm-hmm.
But I got one more before I'll let you tell some stories.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're coming up to some Canadian stories.
Yes, that's true. I've got one from actually Canada, so I'm hoping you can
I have
actually
one
shed
as
some
well.
light on this one.
Stephanie Stewart. Now, she's 70 years old, and I don't know what she's doing working as a fire lookout person in Jasper National Park in Canada here, in Alberta. But she's at 70 years old. She wanted to be a fire lookout person to get up in those towers, and you have all your amenities, your cooking stuff, and all that kind of stuff. And on one such occasion, she was put on August 26, 2006. She was put in Athabasca, and that's a remote area. It's about 20 miles from Hinton, Alberta. and she was in this remote spot, and every 3 hours, you're supposed to radio someone what's going on. Suddenly, there was no radio connect, no check-ins, and the next, one of the other tower people, they came to the tower, and no one was there. Just disappeared. The furnace was on, and there was a pot on the stove that the water just completely boiled out of, and there's no signs of a struggle. She was just gone. Her truck was there. She was just gone.
Again,
And,
no trace.
No trace, and she just disappeared.
Hmm.
And she had no reason to just go anywhere and not tell anyone. She's 70 years old. What's she gonna do? She's an old woman at this point, right?
Absolutely.
So I'm gonna make the tag to you over here.
Oh, it's that side. Sorry. There we go. Thank you very much. So, obviously, make the tag. So, my first story is Charles Mccullough. Now, Charles is a 19-year-old amateur photographer from Virginia. So, I'm going to go back to December 1974. He hitchhiked out to a West Coast for an extended vacation. The January of the following year, he obviously ended up as a friends. Now, being a photographer, they like to go out, get some scenery. So he went out, obviously, do some scenery things. However, he never returned. Now, this is just really, really weird. Now, again, the common thing is there's no trace, there's no thing. However,
this is the first one out of this one that they kind of find something.
Absolutely. So 1 year later, his backpack was found 12 miles off the trail road where he was actually headed.
So I was going to address George's comment. So there was no database for any of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's thousands of people that have gone missing over the years, but they weren't really seen as a national park issue. So now they've just created the database for missing people in national parks now. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's absolutely fine. So obviously they found all his belongings. Now, exactly 1 hour after they found his belongings, now this is where it gets really, really creepy. His body was discovered. However, not to what you think. According to obviously the 411, they found his jeans unbuttoned, sitting on a log. Now, to make this more creepy, the exact words were, it was as though an invisible man was sat in them. It was really, really weird.
They're like the jeans sitting on a log with the socks sticking out, and there's a bit of bone in the socks still.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really weird. The term used it was though an invisible man was actually just sat there. But that's not all. The top of his skull was found 12 feet away from his belongings. Nothing else was
found. They didn't find any other parts of his body anywhere. Just that's it. So I guess the rest were kind of eaten.
Well, again, obviously we'll get into the theories later on.
Yeah.
Now, this theory, this is a really confusing theory because according to the thing, on the day he actually disappeared, there was 7 feet of snow on the ground floor, which meant that the traveling would have been impossible, even with a snowmobile. And as you mentioned there, this is the first story where they've actually found something, but that's only the first one. So we're going to fast forward now to 2004. A similar case.
Fast forwarding.
So we're going to a similar case in Canada's Yukon Territory. You probably know where that is.
Yukon Territory. It's up north, up here in Canada. It's where they find all the gold back in the day.
Oops, I dropped my notes. Oops, there we go.
I dropped my notes.
So
it's you doing a Canadian accent, doing an English accent.
So the next person is 49 Bart I hope I've said this right. I'm sorry if I butchered it. Shiva. I've probably
Anyway,
said that.
we'll just tell the story.
But anyway, now Bart was obviously known as a great outdoorsman. He's got loads of experience. He's been hiking tons of times.
Oh, you have to be in the Yukon. It's like it's crazy wilderness up there.
Oh right, absolutely. So that September, he planned to do a 175 miles north of Whitehorse to hunt for, I believe it was moose. So obviously, Bart, being the veteran that he is, he packed up his gear, he packed up equipment, and he packed up food. So he had like 3 cases. The idea was that the chopper would obviously drop him off, come back 3 weeks later, and then Bob's your uncle. So then, fast forward to 3 weeks later, the chopper. Yeah, you'll find there's a lot of time little jumps.
Just don't make me rewind because I don't know how to do that.
So yeah, 3 weeks later, the chopper obviously returned. But the weird thing is, he could not see no sign of Bart. His camping stove, as everything was like, it's like it wasn't touched or anything like that. Now,
disappeared.
Yep. Now, of course, everybody worries about him. So the RCMP, is that
RCMP,
right?
Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
So obviously they was called out and obviously did a good search, but they could only find teeth and shards of bone 60 feet away after doing what they call teeth.
Oh, teeth. I was like, there's some tea. What's a tea?
Oh, dear. Now, according to examinations, the thought of obviously a big animal attack was ruled out because, one, the guy was obviously really experienced. Do you know what I mean? There's no signs whatsoever. But there was also no disturbance in the area. And his bow, as it quotes here, was just propped up against the thing. So it's like he just disappeared again. It's really weird.
And then something kind of ate him and spit him out.
Well, yeah, it's really, really, really weird. But we're not done. We've got 2 more stories yet. So we're going to go 2 years earlier.
I'm trying to do a rewind. I'm trying to.
Now, Christopher Thompson was working as a part of a 4-man team near Dense Woodland, Harris County. Is that? I'm not quite sure where that is.
I am not part of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. I am just Mr. Dry. Mr. Dry.
Mr. Dry. Now, obviously, these guys are obviously working. Now, they decided to walk past the road highway. Now, they were obviously in like their own little 50 feet away lines. Now, the one at the very back, which Christopher was, so he was like 1 person, 2 person, 3 person. Then there was Christopher at the very back. And now, again, it vanished just like that.
Just like that. That's the theme of the show.
Yes, just vanished. And I'm the magician, so I should know. Now,
but you do not have the magic ability to bring them back.
I do not, unfortunately. I wish. Now, of course, the colleagues went back to the actual last place they saw him, but they could only find 12 cents.
Like 12 cents? Like a dime and 2 pennies?
Yeah, 12 cents on the ground. And a workboat which was snagged on the wire, on a barbed wire thing at the side. As always, a huge search carried out. Now, to make this even more confusing, 7 months later, his other boot was found near a swamp 900 yards from where he vanished.
Well, yeah, they would have checked that, right?
Exactly.
And it's like somebody's like, I don't want this no more.
So there's a common theme here that we're slowly starting to find like pieces a little bit, but again, we could not find the body. Now I obviously have one more. Now, the last one is Todd Gabe was a 22-year-old from Michigan. So we're going to go to 2005 now. So, yeah. So on the night of the 11th of June 2005, Todd and his cousin decided to go for a keg party. So, you know, typical stuff.
It's a kegger, man. Yeah, dude.
Oh, dear. Now, it was 12:30 a.m. Now, Todd, being the genuine guy that he is, he decided to walk home, didn't want to drive, alcohol in his system, usual stuff. Approximately 12:51, he called a friend saying he was in a field. That's really, really strange. Now, the friend called him back, but all he heard was, "I'm in a field." Then the phone cut dead.
And a little bit of heavy breathing as well.
That's correct. And so the friend tried to ring him again. All he could hear were heavy breathing. Just like that, the phone went dead. The last call was at approximately 12:57 a.m. Now, as always, a big search is carried out. Now, this is probably the creepiest one I actually found. So let's make sure I get the facts right on this one. Now, the next day, it was due to obviously show for a family gathering. Now, being the family man that he is, obviously the family was a bit, it's out of character, so to speak. So they reported him missing. It wasn't until 3 weeks later he was found. A couple was walking and they saw something like what's in the water. Now, the best way I could describe it, it was like, do you know when like you go fishing, you like to see a thing bobbling on the top of the thing? It was like that, but it turns out it was actually Todd's body.
Yeah, like somebody, I guess they thought if someone was just sitting in the water, but then they found he was dead.
Yeah. Now, to make this more thingy, apparently the COD was drowning. However, there was no water in his system. So
And the alcohol was very low.
That's correct. And also the alcohol was very, very low. So the fact that the COD was drowning, it doesn't make sense to me. It kind of confused me a little bit.
Delivery, is that what you're saying? The cash on delivery, the COD?
It stands for cause of death. Sorry.
Oh, not cash. No, okay, never mind.
And yeah, that was out of all the stories obviously we found. I know there's obviously loads more. That's the
these are just a little bit of them. One of the other stories was a lady. She survived this. She saw some sort of thing coming at her. It was like a sort of like a, I guess like a best of both sides. You Star Trek and sort of like a cloaked thing, where it's kind of pixelated. And it was coming at her, and she got away. But which would explain if something's coming at you that's able to cloak itself.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even see it coming.
No, absolutely. So
and that would explain Buddy and his bow sitting there. Like he didn't have time to grab something to defend himself because he didn't see it coming.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously while I was doing research for this, have you ever heard of the thing called the silence?
The silence? No.
So it's kind of an interesting thing, this. So I was...
That Simon Garfunkel song, The Sound of Silence?
It's a good song, that, by the way. I'm just going to say that. No, so the
can't play it because copyright.
No, there you go. We can sing it if you want, but I can't sing. But yeah, anyway, so the silence thing known as... There's apparently rumors where you could be walking through the forest and probably the best way you could describe it is though there's like sound gets muted. It's like everything just stops. You feel a bit heavy breathing. And in the words of Jan Maccabee, she feels like she's been watched or stalked. Now, that's just apparently the silence thing. I've never had that, have you?
No, I've never had that. So, like, I can't really relate. But I imagine what it's like. And it sounds scary, and she's the one that got the picture. I didn't bother to upload it, but she's the one that got the picture of the pixelated sort of
Yes,
And
that's correct.
getting to theories here, some people think that this is some sort of Bigfoot related thing. Since we
Yeah,
talked about the bear-like man who took the kid.
the only thing that's confusing me, there's no trace. Wouldn't something like a Bigfoot leave some sort of trace in a way?
Okay, so here's something that we. Oh man, I just spilt my water. I'm going for a drink too. Um, but this something we talked about is that what if the Bigfoot is another worldly creature
Yeah, I mean that.
and it's
See,
not of this world, and
that is
instead of being coming down of spaceships, it's coming through a portal.
yeah, I can see that.
We've seen a lot of portals on things like the Skinwalker Ranch and stuff like that. But like, what are your thoughts on this?
I mean, there's so many theories. I mean, illness has been mentioned. Obviously, like people feeling sick, even suicide. But the interesting thing about that is, wouldn't family like cotton onto something like that?
Oh yeah, you kind of get a sense he was really depressed and like.
Yeah, kind of weird. Obviously, serial killers was another one. That
Well,
would.
the thing about most of these is like there's no trace, and what David did was he eliminated all the ones that could be suspected in other. Like he didn't want it for people to think that these are just him chasing an idea. He wanted to eliminate the ones that aren't suspicious at all.
Yeah, I mean, the other theory, which I thought was an interesting one, was like drug dealers operating and like their operations got like blown out a little bit. But the issue with that is, you wouldn't really work like near a national park, so to speak, which has obviously got thousands of people walking.
Well, there is one area that actually used Bigfoot as a cover up for murder.
Really, I do not know this.
Yes, there's I forget the name of the area, but it's a well known area for growing weed and stuff like that. It was in the when time when in America where weed was very illegal, and some people got shot and killed, and they pinned it on a Bigfoot that they ripped them apart. But there's a documentary on it on Netflix. I forget what it's called, but it's really interesting. The rabbit trail that they go on, but this is the thing. It's an easy thing to pin up because it has happened. So why not blame it on that?
Yeah. What's your opinion on some of the things like where, let's say, parts of people has been found, not all of them? What's your opinion on this?
That's it's really creepy. I definitely think like you're finding the boots later on, you're finding the skulls later on. It's almost like they don't want them anymore. It's
like trophies, isn't it? It's like they want them on display, so to speak, as I said.
Or it wants people to find it.
Yeah, it's definitely.
But there's very few where this is actually happening. Most of them is you never see them again.
Yeah, that is really, really true. But obviously, we've covered about 7 or 8. I bet there's thousands more out there.
Oh yeah, there's thousands that he's documented. This is just a pin drop. So
these are the most common ones, should we say,
or the more famous ones, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we can move on to our favorite part of the show. Do you know what our favorite part of the show is?
Knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power. Here we go.
I love that bit.
I don't know where to put my thing. My thumb. Not my thing, my thumb. I'll go ahead and go first.
Okay.
Now, kids, if you find yourself in the woods, make sure you're staying with an adult at all times. Make sure that you're never alone. Because the second you're alone, you could be a victim of whatever this creature is, and it could take you away, and you'll never be seen again. Knowledge is
power. Time for mine?
Let's hear it.
Now, kids, don't let stories like this obviously deter you from going into the woods. Yeah, exactly. As Canada Drive quite mentioned there, always go with an adult, never go on your own. But just remember one thing. You never know who might be watching.
That's creepy.
Let's wrestle with the paranormal.
You never know who might be watching. Knowledge is power. And
that was a really fun episode.
Yeah. So next week, not next week, tomorrow we got AFW backstage. It's the pilot episode for the episodes that are coming in September, and we'll be doing that once a month.
Yep.
And then on Sunday, don't forget to watch the All Effin' Wrestling Show. And we got Teal Piper and her tag team partner, stablemate, Damos. And I can't wait to hear all from them. And go to effinwrestling.com. Check out all our stories and whatnot. Click on the ads because the ads give us money, and we need money. We need it. And also, go to our Pro Wrestling Tees store, prowrestlingtees.com/effin wrestling, and pick up a shirt like this beauty. And yeah, other than that, keep on wrestling with the paranormal. Woo!
And remember, have your pet spayed or neutered. Help control pet population.
And if you are watching this and return it to your local video store and don't rewind it, there's going to be a fee. And I'm fine with that because I need the money. See you later.